have been.
Where did you dig up that old fossil?
Going into Toshi Station to pick up some power converters.
That's no moon.
We're all fine here now, thank you. How are you?
Welcome to the Star Wars Nerds Podcast. I'm Dan Vedabonker.
And I'm Kenton Larson.
Of course, we're back again in two episodes in the same week, Kenton. It's because Obi-Wan is back again on Wednesdays now instead of the Fridays. So we've got the next few Wednesdays. We're going to be watching Obi-Wan and talking about it on Thursday. But first, before we get to that, Kenton, you had something you wanted to say about the Twitter spoilers? What was going on
I
there?
have a beef. Okay. I have a beef. We're gonna have a regular segment called "What's My Beef?" No, just kidding. But
beefs and bouquets. Remember beefs and bouquets? I'll give a bouquet after. Bouquet.
That was Winnipeg's own CJOB. What was his name? Peter.
I always forget his name.
How can we forget?
Oh man, I don't know. Peter Weller. I don't know why I thought of Peter Weller.
That's not
RoboCop. Anyway, go ahead. What's your beef?
My beef is not remembering local radio personalities' names, and my second beef is, and it's not Peter Mansbridge. And my second beef is on Twitter. This just started this week. Is people going Obi-Wan Kenobi spoilers? Space, photo of horrible spoiler, and that doesn't stop people from seeing the terrible spoiler. The photograph continues to be part of the tweet. So leaving space at the top accomplishes nothing. Now, I have not been spoiled because I will not even look at my phone until I'm done watching Obi-Wan. I won't even look at it in case I get a text or in case something happens on Twitter or I get a notification for something that happens on Twitter.
Right.
I'm not going to do it, but I'm also not going to watch Obi-Wan at 3 a.m. local time. It's just not, that's just not in my wheelhouse to do that. So whatever that is, whatever that spoiler thing is, people should stop doing that because I know people who cannot watch it until the evening of the day in which it comes out. So it's irritating to do that, but it's widespread. Suddenly, it just started happening. I've never seen that before.
Okay, but what would you suggest people do instead? So I guess they want to talk about the thing that they're posting about. Is that why they're posting it? Can you give me an example? We're gonna, by the way, spoilers for all the episode 3 of Obi-Wan, and I have seen this as well on TikTok, where like it'll be the first thing as soon as the video comes up. The first thing it says Obi-Wan episode 3 spoilers ! Like a bunch of that kind of stuff. That's what I see, and they're like making sure people know because it's important. Nobody wants to be spoiled. Even at our meeting, we had a meeting yesterday, and one of our coworkers was like, "Did you see the new Obi-Wan?" And we're all like, "No." Like some people are like, "I haven't seen it yet," so we didn't talk about it because we don't want to spoil it, right? But where do people go then to talk about this kind of stuff?
But the funny thing is that Kelly, who we work with and who's been on our podcast, he showed me his phone, and it was a stream of text with people going, "Did you see Obi-Wan Kenobi?" And that's what you're in for. I'm gonna get that too, and I only like it if the answer is yes because I'm worried about what the next text might say. But for instance, let me give you an example of how you can spoil Star Wars for lots of people. You go, so many feels. Hashtag Star Wars, space, photo of the battle, photo of Obi-Wan lying in flames, photo of Hayden Christensen standing on a cliffside wearing his Jedi robe.
Are they taking photos of their TV? Is that what they're doing? And just okay. Oh,
yeah,
man.
Screenshots, wherever they're watching it.
Yeah.
And then they're putting it in the tweet, and it's like it's 2 hours after the damn thing's launched. So and I think it's the usual social media battle to be first. But
sure.
But it's oh boy, you're really wrecking it for people by doing it.
Well,
I think there should be 24 hours of nothing.
See, I think that I disagree. I think that Twitter's the place to do this, and if you don't want that, then stay off Twitter, which is what you did. So I think we're all fine here. Like I don't think anybody's getting spoiled, Kenton.
I don't know. I saw evidence to the contrary.
The people tweet underneath. What are you doing?
Yeah, they're mad. They're angry.
Oh, okay.
That's part 2 of what happens if you do part 1.
Like, see, that's why I wouldn't do. That's why I would never tweet anything like that because there'd be blast. Who cares if people think or don't think you should be on Twitter? Just putting that out there, like this is how we put it out there, right? We have this podcast which we record the day after, then get up a couple days later, so everybody's had a chance to watch it by the time they're listening to our podcast, right? But like on TikTok, people want, like I'm seeing a lot of videos today, the day after, but they were posted within a couple hours of it going up, but it does say spoiler, so I don't watch it if I don't want to. There's that. But I guess the real issue here, your real beef, is with the way Twitter does not hide the photos.
Well, you could. I mean, you can. I think you can flag a photo sensitive content.
No, but then they think it's like gory or something like that, or sexual.
Right. Then they think that's true, but it could work for that purpose. You could. And this was another problem, which is there are people who mute keywords.
Yes.
On Twitter, which is great, but a lot of them did not put keywords in them in the tweets. So they still showed up.
People don't think of that, right?
No, so it still showed up in the streams of people who attempted to mute it. And there are people who use Twitter for work who don't have a choice. I mean, there's things like that. But this was the first time that I've noticed that format, and that I've noticed so much of it, the quantity of it. But Twitter's been changing a lot lately. Weird things, weird algorithms, and
I wonder why.
He's not even there yet. So I don't know. Who's like?
They know he's already been in contact with Twitter. The day he bought the company, Elon Musk was like, "All right, I'm going to tweet at these guys." start changing it. Anyway, I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't. It looks different on my phone today too. So you tell me what's going on. I don't
really use Twitter. TikTok has ruined me for all other social media. So I just tweet out the links to this podcast and that's it. Okay, let's talk about Obi-Wan. Wow, what an episode. It gave us so much that I wasn't expecting. That's why it was a spoilers, because it was stuff we weren't expecting. Certainly not this soon in the series. Like we expected the fight between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader at the end of the season or whatever, the series. We expected. What else was in here that we got? Well, let's just start at the beginning.
There's so much. There's so much. And I noticed that one of the questions is this too much fan service? To which I'd say no.
No.
And we'll talk about that when we come to it. And I have to just go on the record and say I believe what we're experiencing is a Superman 2 scenario where you lose your powers, you get your ass kicked, you get your powers back, and then you show what's what.
Okay.
I think that's what's happening here.
Is there going to be a part where Obi-Wan turns evil, he becomes a bad version of himself, and then goes and gets drunk?
That would be the next Obi-Wan series if they make it, and then he'll see himself and he'll fight himself in a big heap of garbage. And usually, I guess now we'd need. Back in the day, they'd bring Richard Pryor out.
There's probably lots of people you could think of to be the Richard Pryor in this.
A goofball comedian who adds nothing, including Richard Pryor hacking into the world's most impenetrable computer systems going, I don't even know what my fingers are doing. Okay, that's a moment in Superman 3. So imagine that in Star Wars. I don't even know how I got on the Death Star. I just woke up and I was here. And now I'm creating laughs wherever I go.
Okay, so we start off, we get this great opening with the Darth Vader assembly that you were mentioning. I think you talked about that last episode. This is awesome. I love this whole sequence.
It's horrible. It's gross, as in horrible, as in gross, because, man, is he taking a beating.
Yeah, and they were pretty detailed. They show all kinds of parts of his body. They show, he's just scarred everywhere. He's got stumps. He's just all stumps. Because he's got all his legs cut off because Obi-Wan cut them all off, right?
The worst part is he's got embedded mechanical holes in his back where his suit fits, I guess, brings him life, and where the oxygen for when he's in the bacta tank plug in. Mm-hmm. It's horrible to see. It really is bad. He really has suffered.
This is the best kind of Darth Vader introduction we've had, I think, in the Star Wars universe. So good. And of course we get the castle. He's on Mustafar. Everything we were expecting.
Yep. Yeah, so good. He's got a throne. He's he's angry.
No, yeah. So he's talking to Reva here, and I kind of suspect this after the last episode that she's in tight with Vader, like she's his favorite, so to speak. And he says that here. I've noticed. Hey, by the way, is this James Earl Jones? Is this all James Earl Jones?
It is. His name's in the credit. Oh, by the way, just so you know, Disney has blocked me from. You're sharing the screen, and it's pitch black for me, so there's no point. You don't need to share it.
All right, I didn't know that. Damn it.
It only when you hit play does it happen. I can see the little preview pane and stuff, but I can't see that.
Like what am I? Anyway, whatever. Okay.
Yeah, I know.
Thank you.
I'm gonna broadcast it to my friends.
All right. So anyway, so then we have so James Earl Jones. We start with this scene between him and Reva. He's telling Reva to, go find Obi-Wan.
And we found out what she presumably wants.
What does she want?
She wants to stand by Vader's side when it's all over. Well, I mean, and then you can read between the lines and go, she wants to replace Vader himself. Or, and there was a number of reactions from her in the course of the episode that could be interpreted a number of different ways. So we still don't know 100% what she's after, but that went a little bit further to explaining the dynamic between the Inquisitors, which is they all want to be the Grand Inquisitor.
They all want to move up, right? They're all very ambitious. They have like drive. They have like they've got a goal in mind.
Yep.
They've made a plan and they're sticking to it.
It's clear that she has told everyone that Obi-Wan killed the Grand Inquisitor.
Right. Yeah. She lied about that, which is no big deal for her. Oh, this came up later. Okay, then we go back to Obi-Wan and Leia, who are on the ship. They're on the cargo ship. Now, why is there air in this ship?
What do you mean?
I mean, if it's cargo and it's all droids, they would not need to have air or climate control or anything like that. It should be all open to vacuum when you think about it. But nobody ever cares about that kind of stuff in Star Wars.
It's standard.
Yeah.
Every ship has oxygen on it.
Yeah.
Come on. What if a human being wants to hitch a ride?
Exactly. What if this exact scenario happens and they land? Do we know what planet they land on?
Yeah, they name it, and I don't remember what it is, but they do name it.
There's this part where they're walking to go meet whoever it is they're supposed to meet, and Obi-Wan says, "This was Unsolved Farms and Families," and I'm like, I don't know. I kind of call BS on that. It's only been 10 years. It wouldn't have gone that bad in 10 years.
Well, I don't know. Look at Ukraine. Ukraine has been flattened in weeks. So I think it's I think it's possible. Like when you see cities in Ukraine, there's nothing left. It's just
okay. Well,
completely...
I wasn't really thinking about that. I was just thinking in terms of it didn't look like that land had gone wild from. It didn't look like that land had been farmed and then left to go wild. Anyway, whatever. It's just
maybe mined. Maybe it's been
mined. Yeah, maybe mined. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. Anyway, they go there and Obi-Wan is so scared. He's so suspicious and so scared. Like he's
tense.
Just. What is this? It's like, it's not safe. He says that over and over and over again. And Leia, of course, will go running off anywhere. She doesn't care. But what does that remind you? I can't quite put my finger on what it reminds me of. Somebody saying it's not safe.
Well, he's clearly been jarred by the whole experience of finding out about Anakin.
Yes.
Also, there seemed to be some kind of psychic connection when Anakin's eyes opened in the bacta tank.
Oh, yeah. He felt it immediately. Like, as soon as Obi-Wan opened himself up to the Force... Yeah. They connected. And I think that given that we do see Anakin in his robe on the cliff there, that they do share that dyad bond or whatever, the same kind of thing that Rey and Kylo Ren had, because they're going to be able to talk to each other. This is going to come in the next episode where they're going to have a conversation. It's going to be Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor together, not like scarred and bloody Hayden Christensen. It's going to be Hayden Christensen as Anakin as he appears in the end of the Return of the Jedi, right? Like that's his Force Ghost persona or whatever you want to call it. That's how he looks. So that's going to happen next episode.
Will it? I got to think about that. I don't think so. No, I have a different theory, but I'll save it. I'll save it till when we get to the end. I think there's only one thing that can happen. I think. Okay. And I'll save it. I'll save it for when we get there.
We have a couple new, I'm going to call them new figures to look out for. Mr. Mole, or the driver of this vehicle they hitch a ride with. I don't know, what is it? Frank? Was his name Frank?
Freck.
I thought they said Frank. I'm like, there's no way there's someone in Star Wars named Frank. That's not going to happen.
He's a Trump supporter. He drives the cab and he's a Trump supporter. We've all been in that cab.
He is absolutely exactly what that's supposed to be. That's so funny. I didn't even think of that until you said that. It's so
Oh,
funny.
he is. That's exactly him.
Nice to meet like-minded people. Nothing wrong with a little bit of order, huh? Do we know who did the voice to that?
Yes,
character?
that's Zach Braff from
Oh, okay.
from Scrubs.
Yeah. Okay, fair.
Yeah. At
And
first
honestly,
I thought it sounded like Kermit the Frog to me.
I always just assume it's Jon Favreau. Anytime there's like kind of have a happy, cheery
Yeah.
guy, it's gonna be Jon Favreau kind of being that character, but he doesn't really do that kind of stuff anymore. Now, one thing I kept thinking about every time we see stormtroopers in this episode, I kept thinking, who's that? Who's that? Like, is this a celebrity? Is this a celebrity? Were there a lot of celebrities behind these masks?
It's possible. I don't know. No, I haven't seen anything. I noticed. I looked at on IMDb, which can be dangerous when you look at the cast, because especially when a show is relatively new, they're not 100% accurate with what episodes actors are going to appear in.
Right.
So
So maybe
sometimes there's
spoilers.
spoilers. Sometimes there is. But I noticed that one of the actors from Pen 15, one of the two main actors, is in this somewhere, and I think it says 4 episodes, and there's no way because there's only 3 left. And I thought maybe there's a female stormtrooper voice. Maybe I can't find her in there, and maybe I'll see if she tweeted something. But it's it's one of those things. Like, I don't know who. Maybe we'll find out after the fact, and that's.
I think usually that's what I'm wondering if anybody knows. If anybody knows, please let us know. I like to know. Like, usually these things, like when we found out that what's his name, Daniel Craig was a stormtrooper in the Force Awakens and that kind of stuff. Kevin Smith did a voice of a stormtrooper. That kind of stuff happens all the time, and you know that people are clamoring to be in Star Wars stuff. That's got to be happening quite a bit. I thought of this as I was watching these scenes, as they're driving in this truck and coming up here, and this guy is working with the stormtroopers. We find out, right? He is like you said, he's a Trump supporter, but he's also alien. And I guess that we're finding out the Empire isn't really racist like they were supposed to be. I thought the Empire was supposed to be kind of an analog of the Nazis, right? Who were racist and very much. And in the movies, I feel like they are against aliens. Like the Empire does not like aliens. You don't see any aliens in the Empire. But this is like, I guess they're being nicer now.
Well, this was the week of Star Wars apologizing. Well, apologizing.
Well, no, not apologizing.
Star Wars telling people to not, like, something that they should know already, which is don't be racist.
Right.
And I think to show, and so it's terrible that needs to be done, and it's terrible that it needs to be done. That Star Wars, the brand, needs to do it. That Ewan McGregor himself needs to do it. That the actor who plays Reva needs to tell people about it. It's just rotten. And I think when you're dealing with that, you can't very well. It's harder to show some horrible Nazi-ish organization on screen that seems to mimic the crap that's happening off screen. I think that might. I mean, they apparently even warned her before.
Look what happened to what's her name, Rose, right?
Yeah.
She was like bullied completely off of social media because of that shit. Like that's gonna hurt, and it is horrible that kind of stuff has to happen. I thought, what else I thought about, and she is so good, like just amazing. I love this character. I love her performance. And as I'm watching this, it occurs to me, like, it doesn't matter that this person is black. It doesn't matter that this person is a female. This character is this person, and the race has nothing to do with this, right? That's like, and that's true of it should be true of any role, in unless it has to do with like the story or something like that. But in this case, it doesn't, because it's Star Wars, right? We don't think of race, we don't think of, everybody's different in Star Wars, right? So it's ridiculous. Whatever. Gets me mad. What else? Anything else that you thought of from this sequence when they're conversing with the guys?
How about Obi-Wan remembers having a brother?
I wrote that down as well. Yes. Holy shit.
That's huge.
Huge.
You don't just plant that and not do anything with it, right?
Yeah. I didn't catch that till the second time around. I just caught that just now, like today as I was watching it. I'm like, oh crap. That's big. But Leia showing some genuine curiosity about who her real parents are, and that doesn't exactly jive with the line in people are probably complaining about that, like, because of what she said in Return of the Jedi. But come on, man, that was like a long time ago.
She asks Obi-Wan Kenobi if he's her real father, which is heartbreaking. And he could tell her the story, but it's not for a kid to hear, really.
Not right now, anyway. He doesn't
no,
know
not
and
right
he just
now.
found out that her father was alive. He has no idea. Like, he thought he was the person who killed her father until a few hours ago.
Right. So it's horrible. And the fact that he might have a brother, I have to bring this up because I think it was a comic book I remember where Obi-Wan had a brother, and his brother was Uncle Owen. Okay, so I'm gonna leave that there and say, what if this Obi-Wan series has a surprise for us, and that surprise is that the brother that Obi-Wan remembers having is Uncle Owen. It's possible.
And you think that's going to be revealed in the series?
I don't know how the hell they would do it.
No, it's just too much, too far.
It might be too much for this series. Maybe not for a different one. Maybe not for a different series.
Man, that's funny. Do you remember, like, when did the comic came out, like in the 80s when we were kids, kind of thing? Is it like?
I read it. When did I read it? No, I think more recently than that. Somebody will remember. I don't remember where I read it, but it's not canon anymore. But certainly, Star Wars has dipped into stuff that wasn't canon and made it canon again. So if we're dropping hints about a brother, he's the main suspect, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
So which would make him and Anakin half brothers as well. So all of the time, he says, "You were my brother," et cetera, et cetera. He might literally mean it. It might be literally true. So I don't know. I think that I'm going out on a limb here saying this, but if you're gonna drop it, the idea is that at some point we will find. Yeah.
I think it's gonna come up as something else, not in this, but at some point we're gonna have Obi-Wan's brother revealed, and then who knows what they'll do with him.
I saw two people online. I'm not going to take credit for this. I saw people online calling Obi-Wan's possible brother Obi-2 Kenobi, which is funny. And then someone else said Kenny Kenobi, I think. Kenny Kenobi, which I like quite a bit. I would like to meet Kenny Kenobi. Oh, by the way, while we're on the topic, they had to sit on a transport with the stormtroopers around them, and that's a great.
That was a great scene. And weren't you hoping throughout the entire sequence, weren't you hoping for a Jedi mind trick from Obi-Wan? All he had to say was, "We're not the people you're looking for." That's it. And it would have been awesome. He would have avoided all that stuff if he had just said, "We're not the people you're looking," and then that's it. But I think, like, I don't know, was it just deliberate that they left that out? He's not. I guess because he doesn't have the confidence to try it yet.
It's deliberate. It's absolutely. He does not have his mojo back, and they showed it in a number. He also slips and actually calls the little girl by her real name.
Yeah, that was a good moment too. Yeah.
So, like, that was a real mistake. And so, his mind's not in it. And he even says to the stormtroopers, "I get confused." Yeah. And I like how they're kind of doing that. And I think if he already used his Jedi mind trick, we expected it, and therefore I'm glad they did not do it. Mm-hmm. Like give us, they gave us so much stuff that was amazing and that we always wanted to see. But George Lucas would always sort of hold back on giving us everything we wanted. Okay, so I appreciate that they didn't show us that happen in this episode.
So they get rescued basically. A moldy man tries to turn Frank, whatever his name is, tries to turn him in. And this woman now
from Game of Thrones.
From Game of Thrones, that's what she's from. Yes, thank you. Yes, something else. I know I've seen her in other stuff too. She's excellent. But yeah, Game of Thrones is what I was wondering. Yeah, she rescues him. She's dressed as an Imperial officer. She shoots everybody and then takes them back to her little hideout. They meet a new droid. We have a new droid character that doesn't talk, but I'm sure is going to be useful.
They slice a stormtrooper in half going through a beam fence along the way. And,
pretty gory, yeah.
I'm going to point out a theme that I noticed in this episode, and it's, can't you just walk around that thing? Okay, so that's the first. I
thought that too. Yes, I did as well. Why do we have to even worry about this laser fence?
So we just walk around that little. Do we need to worry about this laser gate? Where I'm pretty sure I could climb the hill. On either, like, if I really wanted to stay far away from it, I would just climb the hill and walk over it. Yeah. So that's the first time that happens, and there may be some other moments where can't you just walk around this thing?
Okay, so I'm just kind of going based on what I'm watching here, because I didn't get a chance to rewatch it all the way through a second time. Oh yes, they have a tunnel to freedom, right? They have the little tunnel here. This is how they get people out. So it's kind of like the Underground Railroad for the slaves, and back when that was happening. And so we see on this wall, there's all these Jedi names written.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan recognizes one of them.
Quinlan Voss.
Who's that? Do we know that one? I know that one?
He is from the Clone Wars.
Okay.
He's like a stealth Jedi. He's only
what does he look like?
He is an indigenous Jedi. He's an indigenous man.
Oh.
Well, I've always taken him to be an indigenous man. He's got paint under his eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember his arc. I remember seeing him in the Clone Wars, maybe in 1 or 2 episodes. And gosh, does he show up in Rebels? Maybe. I don't know Rebels well enough. I know the Clone Wars better than better than Rebels. But I like the fact, and I hope maybe somebody online has done this. I'm sure someone has. But I like the fact that there's surviving Jedis out there, and there's more than just a few.
Right. There's a lot.
Yes, it's exciting.
Because you have to think realistically about how this Order 66 was executed, right? It's not going to be perfect. We saw, even in the first time we ever saw that happening in the movie, it wasn't perfect. Lots of people got away. So yes, absolutely, there's more Jedi. Absolutely, they're organizing, and they're like, and this opens up so many possibilities for the future of Star Wars, right? So we don't, for me, it means that we don't have to spend all our time in this time period. We can actually start moving out and maybe thinking about like looking at someone who maybe this is where Rian Johnson's trilogy is going to go, right? With Broom Boy, like the people who are not part of the system, people who are not part of this world that we know, who have Jedi powers, right?
I still think that when you watch these Disney Plus shows, and then you think about the sequels, the J.J. Abrams, Rian Johnson sequels, there's so many threads that they could have picked up on and did not. That when you watch something like this and you're like, oh my God, there's a brother out there. Oh my God, there's Quinlan. And there's a bunch of other Jedi who we don't even know, who's scrawled messages on this wall. Like, we want to see all of them.
Yeah.
Like, all these little threads that can show up later in the series or some other series or down the line. Like, they're just really smart about that on these Disney Plus shows. And, I think the oversight of Favreau and Filoni is at work here, and it's great. I love it. I love the promise of the names on the wall.
Okay, so then they're hiding out. They're explaining the tunnel. They talk about all that stuff, and then we find out stormtroopers show up. It's a little bit of a scare there. Like, oh, we got to be quiet. They're going to show up. Nice fake out with the robot who doesn't say anything. And then we find out that the man himself has shown up, right? That was kind of surprising.
Oh my God. It was shocking and terrifying. It's like a horror show. I don't think this episode's for kids.
It is pretty scary. Like, and even just like the way they build up to his entrance in this scene, like I'm just watching it right now as he comes into the town and walks up, and you see his shadow.
Yeah.
And you recognize his shadow, and you see, and the way they cut. I'm just watching just the way they cut it together. They're all like kind of deferring and waiting. The Inquisitors are there, and you just see his feet, and it's just such a great entrance. Like, just an amazing Darth Vader entrance right there.
And he tortures townspeople.
Just for fun. Just for fun. Like, what's he doing? He just I think he's trying to draw out Obi-Wan, right? It's like what the guy was saying in the first episode. They hunt themselves because Obi-Wan's going to show up and stop him. He knows that. So that he's just going to like kill people, torture people, right?
Until Obi-Wan can't take it. And that's where I think a lot of us were just going, Obi-Wan, run down the tunnel. Run.
What the hell are you doing, man? Yeah, exactly. I was not thinking.
Just get the hell out of there. And you can't fight him at this point. We don't think he can fight him. He shouldn't fight him. We know that. We're like, run. And the camera work tells us he's feeling queasy about the whole thing anyway. Yeah. He doubles over. And he's not doing well being in the presence of Anakin again. And the dark side of the Force. And so we're all screaming, run down the tunnel, Obi-Wan, run. And, but he doesn't. And that decision changes the whole outcome of what would have been the outcome of this show, which what I was expecting was they would all run down the tunnel. They kept saying a pilot would meet us there. And I was like, maybe it's Han Solo. Maybe it's Chewbacca.
Too. Yep.
Hey, it could be any pilot. I was
could be Wedge.
all the pilots, but that's not how the episode went.
No, not at all. Completely went in a different direction. He stays. He sends her off with this woman to get her to the ship. I'll stop him, and that is really the best decision when you think about it. Because if Leia's important, and we have to, okay, this is where I say I think Reva knows something about Leia.
Yeah.
I don't think that Darth Vader does though. Vader does not know. He doesn't know he has kids still, right? Or do you think he does know?
No, he doesn't know. And I don't think Leia has shown no ability with the Force, so there's
Although
no.
she was curious about it, though. She said,
Yeah.
what is it like? Like, she kind of asked about it, so maybe she is. Maybe she's starting to feel something different. Or how young are they when they get taken away? Because Obi-Wan talks about, he's like, I barely remember. Like, when he's like 3 years old or something? Is that how young they are?
I think they're drawing a parallel between and I think, does he say the Jedi take you when you're young?
Yes.
Yeah, it's almost like the Empire taking the Padawans that they got from Order 66. So Obi-Wan's story is a light side parallel to Reva's dark side story in some ways.
And very similar, again, to tie back to the J.J. Abrams story, the Finns, being taken and brainwashed or whatever they tried to do with him. So that's also similar. So then they take off, and he goes and he tries to draw Obi-Wan away, or draw Darth Vader away. So I'm so excited about this. I'm getting the names mixed up. And it was just such an amazing scene. Like, it's just incredible. It reminded me of, like, it felt just like, not just like, but it was like as good as like Empire Strikes Back, kind of a epic Star Wars fight, right?
Well, what I thought, if this were fan service, Obi-Wan would kick the living shit out of Darth Vader.
Yes, exactly.
And it can't happen that way,
No.
and it did not happen that way. And one of my favorite shots in the episode, I could watch it over and over, is where Obi-Wan sees Darth Vader standing there. He's like, bye, and he like he sort of takes.
He runs. I just saw that, but then he comes back around the corner and lights his lightsaber. That's a great shot too. And it finally ignite the blue, I guess, because
it's the old like, I'm pretending to run away and then I come back move.
Yeah, but he still looks terrified. Like, Obi-Wan still looks terrified here.
Sure. But I was with him. I was like, that was the only decision he made that I was on board with. Run up that hill. Go.
Yes.
Go around it. See, that's the second time. Go around. Do not go head on. There's a way around this guy.
Right. Yeah. So then, of course, they have a little discussion here. I don't remember what's said. I don't have the subtitles on, but it's just.
I am what you made me.
Right.
Yeah.
And and then this is where we learn, like, he's out for revenge here. He is not like doesn't just want to kill Obi-Wan. He basically wants to put him through the same thing he went through, is torture him, burn him. What does he do? What does he ignite here? Some kind of stuff.
Well, he wants to. Yes. It's unclear. It becomes clear that and Obi-Wan cannot. They do have a lightsaber duel, but Obi-Wan is out of his element, and Darth Vader's just like swinging at him. But it's like a cat playing with a mouse. He's
not trying to kill him. He's not. He could have killed him a million times in this battle. He doesn't.
Yeah.
And so
he wants to torture him, is what is the story, and wanted to draw him out, wants to torture him, and then wants to take him back to torture him some more.
And he doesn't want to do it in with an audience. As soon as the stormtroopers show up, he's like, okay, take him away. And that's it. But then he gets rescued by this lady here somehow.
Well, I don't know. I mean, Vader holds him up. He throws him down into the fire, which is horrible. That's horrible to watch.
Oh God, yes.
And Obi-Wan's screaming in agony. Another reason why this episode isn't for kids. And that was horrible. And then he extinguishes it. He says, "Go get him for me," because that's as much torture as he wants to give him right there. Thank God, because I couldn't watch much more. And then she comes, and I mean, and this is the third time where I thought Vader could force jump over that.
He just
pretty easily.
Not a few seconds earlier just quelled the fire with the Force, I assume, because he like put the fire out.
No, he pulls a lever that brings the fire down.
Was that what he does? Oh, I thought he put the fire out with the Force. Okay, well, whatever.
Yeah, but you could what we were looking at there. But he does it, but then she shoots it, and then he can't douse the fire at that point because she shot it.
Well, I think he could. Well, again, Vader doesn't run, but
no,
he couldn't run through that quickly.
Have we seen him force jump?
Yes.
I'm sure he could force jump, or as I said in the previous two occasions, walk around the fire. Possible. But
it was only maybe 20 feet wide, that whole thing.
He probably could have shimmied along this along the rock if he needed to get over there.
Yeah.
He certainly doesn't care that somebody's shooting at them. He looks. I mean, he cares enough to look. Oh, who's shooting? Like, it doesn't really worry about it. The stormtroopers are more in danger there. But yeah, then our loader friend comes to get him, which I was very happy to see. Or a different loader. I don't know if it's the same one.
I think no, it's the same guy. Yeah. That's the guy. Yeah.
And I think we have a potential love interest for Obi-Wan Kenobi now, with the woman who saves them.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
I think there's some possible.
That'd be nice. That'd be nice for Obi-Wan to get some loving.
He's a Jedi though, and I don't think it would amount to anything. But I think
he'll be torn. He'll be torn between his duty to guard Luke, and he's going to choose that because he's going to go back to guarding Luke, as we know.
Of course, he is going to do that. So, and that's the end of the episode. And what an episode! It's
so good. Well, no, then we believe that Leia continues down the tunnel, and because Leia's basically said to the woman, "Go back and save him," and Leia gets taken by Reva, and I was confused because I thought like I looked away or something. I'm like, why didn't they cross paths? But I guess Reva hid.
She didn't go down the tunnel. She went the other way. I don't know. She knew where the tunnel ends. And so she went to the ending of the tunnel instead. She
didn't actually go through the tunnel. She knew where it came out and went there. Okay, well, whatever.
Right.
Yeah,
well,
so she has.
Well, I guess you know where planes are. You would know where your spaceships are. You would know where somebody would emerge. Maybe I don't know.
I don't know. Anyway, I think she it could have just been as simple as she just hid from her, didn't see her. But now Reva has Leia, which is not good.
It's bad. However, on a positive note, Reva, looking at the Jedi stuff, she gets very angry and kicks some stuff, and she isn't happy when she sees all the carvings in the wall. And the carvings remind her of when she was a Padawan, I think. I
bet you she knew some of those names.
Right, and and her frustration could be read a few ways. And I also think that the fact that she was taken, which I mean, at this point, it seems like it's a done deal that she was taken as a Padawan. Maybe she looks at Leia the same way. Maybe she can see herself in Leia, and that might be what saves Leia. It might be that simple. Or she's going to take Leia back to Mustafar, and then that's where Obi-Wan's got to go, and he's got to go there fast.
But and then again, how can they not make the connection between Leia and Anakin? Like, how can that not? Someone's got to make that connection, right?
Maybe not. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how they're going to handle that, or if that's going to happen at all. But earlier in the podcast, I said this can only there's only one thing that can happen in the next episode. So let me throw it out there.
All right, let's hear it.
He keeps calling for Qui-Gon. He is not going to get his mojo back until Qui-Gon appears to him. And I think episode 4 is a good time for Qui-Gon to finally appear. But in order for Qui-Gon to appear, Obi-Wan Kenobi has to learn how to contact him. Once promised by Yoda, that Yoda would teach at the end of Revenge of the Sith. Yoda says to Obi-Wan Kenobi, I'll teach you how to contact him. And I guess they had other things going, and he never did.
They never got around to it.
No, so I think we're gonna see Obi-Wan Kenobi go to Dagobah to learn how to contact Qui-Gon. Qui-Gon will, and that'll be exciting.
Yeah.
And if it happens, it'll be exciting. And we're gonna see Qui-Gon appear. That might be all we see in the next episode, and maybe a little what's going on with Leia. But how much pressure will be on him to find Leia? I mean, he's going to have to do everything quick.
Well, he's only got 3 episodes left. Now, I would notice that they've been naming these episodes Episode 1, Episode 2, Episode 3. Like, that's how they're... And there are 6 episodes of Obi-Wan. Yeah. So what's going on there? Is that just a coincidence, or is that something deliberate? Are they referring back to the original movies?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Oh, as an episode.
Yeah.
Nah, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think it's just the number of the episodes, and that's
But it's it says Obi-Wan Kenobi, Episode 1, or it says Part 1, Episode 1, or something like that. It's like weird the way it says it on Disney Plus. What does it say?
Do you think at the end of this we're going to announce a second season of Obi-Wan?
Oh, it's episode 3, part 3. Well, he seems to really enjoy it. Like, I mean, I don't know. It could be all press and stuff, but Ewan McGregor seems to be really enjoying this. I'm sure Sir Hayden Christensen's loving the work. I could see them doing it, but it would be like it's interesting to me, the shift in thinking from movies to the streaming, right? Like that's kind of like it shows that that's where entertainment is going. Disney got there first. I think other we're gonna see other like big movie franchises start to be, well, Marvel's already there too, but what is another one like Bond or something like that could do a show, right? What else? Like
there's so many.
Like
there's so many. Any franchise
could have a series, right?
You could do Top Gun Maverick, the series, if you wanted to.
Please no.
Oh, I know.
Oh,
although everybody
I'm not
loves
seeing that.
everyone loves that movie, but I'm certainly under no. Hey, when it's free on TV,
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
there.
When it's on a service that I already pay for is when I will watch it.
Yeah, exactly. by the way, last Friday was Obi-Wan Kenobi, Maverick in the theater, Stranger Things. What else? I think there was one other.
My daughter's birthday.
Daughter's birthday. What else was it? There was a lot last Friday.
Yeah, it was a busy day.
We really are in wish fulfillment media.
And I haven't even gotten around to Stranger Things yet.
No, me neither. I don't.
No time.
It's the first half of the last season. I don't feel pressure to see.
No, I'll wait for the other side. I think this thing is backfiring on them. If you honestly, this strategy of releasing it this way, it's going to backfire. Nobody's going to watch it. Nobody's talking about it. Well, there is some talk. I think one of the characters is gay. That's what I've heard, or something, or he's implied or something. And it's like, I don't know. But it's like the same thing as the racism thing for Star Wars. People are being stupid about it. So, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah. Stranger Things for me is a bit different too, because the 80s nostalgia, it's hard to get behind when you were there. And and it's just like,
well, I like part of it. I was there too. I was younger than you, but I was there as well. And I would say it was okay. It was good up to a point, right? But we are now 4 seasons into this, and we're done with the 80s part of it, right? It's not about that anymore.
It's very odd to see Generation Z or Z pretending to be Generation X. It calls attention to itself as being inauthentic. And I've noticed this many times. Like I just watched some 80s based, something that was supposed to take place in the 80s.
Goldbergs? Okay.
It was painful to watch. Whatever it was, I blocked it out. But it was like, let's play act. Let's have a costume party and play act the 80s. It was a bit like that. So
the Goldbergs is on its 10th season. I was shocked to find out. Like, oh my God, I've never seen a single episode of that show.
There's some shows that you'll never see just because you see how many episodes there are and you're like, I'm out.
Why? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right. And we know again, what's that?
Good Wife. Yeah. The Good Wife has 30 episodes a season over 10 seasons or something.
Hey, I just finished watching Star Trek: The Next Generation, which was about 25 episodes over seven seasons of that. And it's, if you chip away at it, you can get at it. But I wouldn't enjoy watching The Good Wife as much as I watched like Star Trek. Okay. Let's. Any other final thoughts on this? So you think they're going to get Qui-Gon next episode and Yoda next episode?
One or the other or both. I think it's quite likely.
I agree, and I don't think there's, now that we've seen, like, again, we say like, oh, they're never going to show us this. I think I need to stop saying that, because they're going to show us whatever they want to at any time. But I thought that we might get. This is the 3rd episode. We might not get Qui-Gon till the end. That was kind of what I felt. I just initially, I don't know why, because we had another thing today in this episode where he does try and call out to him. I think every episode we're going to have a moment where he tries to call out to him. And I do expect to see Yoda as well. I just didn't think it would come next episode, but you might be right. Well,
there's only 3 to go. I mean, we've seen half the season, which is unbelievable. Yep. But it would not surprise me if they do a second season. There's still 9 years left, so they easily could.
Yeah, it's very clear that this is going to just be this story, and once Leia goes back to her father and he goes back. Now, how do you think, before we go on, how do you think they're going to explain that as far as Leia not, like, do you think Leia, like, remembers all this? She never does see Obi-Wan, does she, in the movie? She never actually comes face to face with him. She's
excited when she hears Ben Kenobi. Ben Kenobi, where is he?
Right.
And then they all make their way to the hangar where they all see him killed.
Get killed, yeah. So she never does talk. Okay, so it all works. She could absolutely have this. Yeah.
It's all possible.
Yeah. Okay.
The closer you get to A New Hope, the more cautious you have to be. I think with that stuff, if you're going to use these as characters. But I mean, I don't know. I don't know what else Obi-Wan Kenobi could do after what we see here, but we also don't know where this is going to end. And and I should also point out, there's somebody online who I'm not going to name who says, I know what's going to happen in all 6 episodes of Obi-Wan, and he breaks it down. And so after episode 1 and 2, I read what he said about episode 1 and 2, and he was right. And I was like, oh, crap, he knows. Uh-oh. Then after episode 3, I read his encapsulation, and he was totally wrong.
Oh, good.
So now I'm like, that's right. So now I'm like, okay. But still, I did not read the remaining ones. I don't want to know. I'm not going to look anywhere. I'm not going to try to find out if the leaks are true. Right. But it made me feel good. That's all the license you need to disbelieve everything you see online.
Well, not only that, but they make alternate versions of scripts. They fake stuff. They don't tell, like they didn't tell Rosario Dawson until the day she was shooting with Mark Hamill, like that kind of stuff. Like they're doing that kind of stuff to make sure that doesn't get out, because they know that we really don't want to know it, right? We want to watch it as it's meant to be watched, and we'll see that stuff later. But I don't know. I don't think that's fun putting that kind of stuff out there. That's ridiculous.
No, and things change in the editing room too.
Exactly. Yeah.
And lots can happen, and even them calling Luke Skywalker Plo Koon in Mandalorian, like doing sort of like switcheroos like that, I think is really good. And I can't help but notice when sometimes on these shows now, Better Call Saul does it too, when something big happens, there's very few actors involved in the scene because they don't want it to leak out.
Right.
That skeleton crew. It's like only Bob Odenkirk knows how this scene is going to end, and nobody else. And I think that's also, the writers are smart about that. They kind of know we'll keep it down to as few people as possible. And that also prevents people from spoiling things, because they know if I was one of 3 people in the room, then I'll be dead if this information comes out.
Right.
Right?
Oh,
so I think,
yeah.
So
crazy.
Oh, I know. It's so good. By the way, are you enjoying, you're enjoying Obi-Wan Kenobi?
Yeah, it's great. I love it.
Yeah,
It's
so do I.
Every bit of Star Wars. It's a Star Wars show. It feels like Star Wars. It's kind of like a little grimy and grungy. I like that. It's more like, I guess we saw that in other stuff as well, but it just that used universe feel of Star Wars. This has that, right? Everything's dirty, so it's great.
Yeah, the stormtroopers are especially filthy in this episode.
Gotta love it. All right, well, that's gonna do it for this episode of the Star Wars Nerds. I'm Dan Vadabonker.
I'm Kenton Larson. Don't let the Force hit you in the ass.
This had better work. Where did you dig up that old fossil? That's no moon.
Now I